Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is August the 21st, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign living ancient, Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan, court action. We are the sovereign living justice in Capitalism nationall in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio Redress. I am sovereign living justice Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like to jure. Both are in Capitalism nationall in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio Redress. All Moors are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith, trust, allegiance, credit, and energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient empire state for Morocco, the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, Washington Ancient District for Columbia, the Universal Moorish American Consulate, and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today we are executing the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3, Living Earth Court, United States District for Columbia, Liquidation Court, Moorish American Consular Court. We are all courts in one. We are the sovereign fiduciaries, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, claimants, and beneficiaries in this ongoing cause for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension at this time and at all points in time, nunc-pro-tunc. So, let's see. Just one moment. Let me put a little security on the meeting. Just one moment. Okay. Okay. So we've been talking about persons. We know that we're not persons. Persons is the all caps, the all capitalized name that we thought was us, that someone else was claiming that person. So the entire capitalism, let me clarify, the entire United States corporation company corporate dead capitalism system was based on that dead person in all capital letters that they created, that they were using. So what did we do? We had to do a lien on that person that they were claiming, do a lien on it, on the all caps and the social security number, and then do a court action and send those things away because those are debtor instruments. And then we created our own all caps living natural person. And even our subjects, which is, for example, Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters, no matter what color the ink is stated properly as my subject, my servant, and my natural person. I own Pauline Ritchie in all capital letters in whatever color ink because I created Pauline Denise Ritchie. And Light to Jure Bay in all capital letters. I created my own by way of our fiduciary documents. So now, what makes this so important for all of us is this very important fact. Only states and nations can own persons. Individuals do not have a person, and when I say individuals, I mean foreign individuals, do not have a person. They are a person. That's the switch that has happened where the apparatus that is the state, which is us, we have created our own person, whereas the whole earth was previously claiming the person, the deader person. The whole earth was claiming that person, and we thought that person was us. And just by virtue of our sovereign status, our knowing international law and knowing about statehood and about government and about who we really are, we were able to halt the activities on the dead person. And when I say dead person, I'm talking any word in all capital letters is a dead person. Even if it's not done by us, it's a dead person. Okay, if it's done by us and on our documents, it's a living person, a natural person. And when you look in financial USC codes, there is mention of natural persons, because there is a difference between a dead person and a natural person. So that which is natural is created by the natural people. We cannot create a dead person. We can't. When we're in our proper status and we're awake like we are, we cannot create a dead person. We can only create living, natural persons who are subject. So I send Pauline Denise Ritchie and Light to Jure Bay in all capital letters. I send them to go and get benefits, and I send them to go and collect things, and I use them for whatever I want to use them for, because they are subjects and they are servants. It's a servant, a living natural servant. And that's why, and that is called capitalism. That's what capitalism is in a nutshell. So all this time when we were watching the financial channels in our sleep and they were talking about capitalism, we were thinking that capitalism was just a bunch of, formulas and, stock tickers and things like that. That's not what that is. That is a symptom or a result of capitalism, but that's not capitalism at its foundation. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because only states, only sovereign states at that, can have a person. So now what happens to all of those who were previously claiming persons and fake judges who were saying that they issued a warrant for someone? What happens to them now that we know we're not that person that they were speaking about? They then become subject to. And they are no longer courts, they're not states, they're not government. They never were really. They were corporations to begin with. But now they are subject to us. They're subject to the state. The state owns all property. congratulations, Morse. We own all property, always have. We always have. And during this thing that was called, quote unquote, the American experiment, we said, okay, we're going to switch or pretend to switch places with the subjects just to get a feel for what it's like to be in that position. Okay, that's what we said. And then we said, okay, when it's time for us to be raised, when we raise ourselves back up to our sovereign power. And when we use the word raise, it doesn't mean to bring down, because it's in an opposite world, raise means bring down when you look in their dictionary. When we say raise, we mean rise. So now that those are all subjects, and they knew that this was coming, okay? This is not a surprise to them. And they were actually looking forward to it, because we're the best masters any subject could have. We really are. We're peaceful, we're generous, we just give and give and give. But before we can do any of that, more, we have to know that it's in our possession and be utilizing it ourselves first before we can give to somebody else. So that is what that has been our focus, is ensure that we see that everything is in our hands now, and that we can use whatever we choose to use in our fiduciary trustee capacity to do whatever needs to be done on the land. So only states can own persons. Individuals, subjects, debtors, and foreigners cannot own, nor do they have persons, because they are persons and not sovereign. Only states can tax persons, because Moors have known for a while that, that others are supposed to be paying taxes to us. Well, those, we needed to actually create a way for that to happen. And so that is the work that we all have been doing, is creating the way so that the subjects can pay the taxes that are owed. What does that mean? That means that, for example, Pauline Ritchie, in all capital letters, my person that I own, will do things with regard to the IRS and all of that, because we know that Pauline Ritchie, not in all capital letters, is the real IRS, and that goes for all Moors too. So we're really going to be dealing with ourselves as we move through these next, phases in this great and amazing era. We don't pay taxes in our sovereign capacity. We are not taxed. So then we have to put that forth for our person, our all caps, and ensure that, because of the nature of our all caps and because of the creator of our all capitalized names that we created by way of our fiduciary document, that we begin to take a look at the ways that we do business and do merchant things and commerce without being taxed. We are going to have to know we're going to have to know and do the study on that. But again, we have our own money. We have our own everything. So we, as the sovereigns, are going to be the ones saying, okay, all caps living corpus sanctums, or natural persons, are taxed. And that's going to include any subjects, foreigners, debtors, whomever. They are taxed. because they're using our money system. And in order for that to even have occurred, we had to declare and proclaim and know that we are the state and we have the authority to do that. So now our job is going to be, as we move forward, ensure that each and every one of us is moving in the direction of getting, and okay, maybe that's not the right term, that every one of us is how do I say get rid of the fiat in the right terminology? That's what I'm trying to say. We have to. We don't have that's our fiduciary duty. So now in order to do that, Morris, we've already done it, but we're just going to keep putting it forth. The remedy. We're just going to keep talking about the remedy. Because as the state, it is absolutely our job to do that. Yes, abolish is that's a good way to put it. Okay. So with that being said, the Constitution and fiduciary duties. Let's look at Article 4, the full faith and credit article. Because full faith and credit, it's vested, we vest that in ourselves. We're the state, we're the government, we do that. Article 4, full faith and credit shall be given in each state. Again, you have to be a state to even exercise full faith and credit. Okay? Shall be given in each state to the public acts. And again, public, for example, fiduciary money is public money. That's what public money looks like. Anyone can use it. Only the heirs can create it, but anyone can use fiduciary money. So those who study law already know that fiduciary money has been a key, as well as we first needed to have our own national currency, because we had to proclaim that, hey, yes, we know we're a nation. And as a nation, nations support their own economically. And they don't amalgamate economically. We're in a transitionary period. Amalgamation is when sovereigns and foreigners think that they're on equal footing. And they begin to contract as if there's equality there, when really there should be equity and not equality. You hear the term equity being put out there, and some are resistant to that term. What's the difference between equity and equality? Does anyone know the difference between equity and equality? And I'll let me open the table. And anyone who wants to star 6 and speak about that. Knowing the difference between equality and equity. Okay. The difference between equality.
Pauline, you're going to be investigated for burning money. That's
the difference between equality and equity is equality is assuming that everyone is equal and everyone's on the same footing, everyone has the same status, and all of that. Equality happens with all caps names.
Why aren't you out there using your fiduciary?
That's what it is. Equality happens with all caps names. But then when you come off of that capitalism platform and you're your sovereign self, then equity, it becomes the law. And where equity is concerned, equity is everyone according to his own status and vine and fig tree. That's where the differences come in at between man and mankind. You see? So we use equity because we are courts for equity. And if you if you Google courts for equity, it's going to be a whole different set of courts than courts claiming equality and, constitutionally inferior courts. Constitutionally inferior courts say all men are created equal. Well, they're talking about all caps. Created equal, all caps. We create the all caps. But then at any given moment, if something is going on with the all caps, and all things being quote unquote equal, our nationality says, okay, we're going to go ahead and invoke sovereign supreme jurisdiction. And we do that anyway. We are the sovereign supreme jurisdiction. So, if you're wondering where, see, when we thought we were citizens, it seemed like everything was in the favor of others, and it actually really was, because when it came down to it, they were not doing all men are created equal. They were not doing that. They were saying you all are not the state. We're they were saying they're the dead state. Okay, and as long as we didn't unify, supposedly, because we're unified, we know that our unity has never been unhinged. We just pretended that it was. We went to sleep. We said, okay, this part of our brain and consciousness, we're going to let that part go to sleep, and we'll leave this little 5% piece awake, and we'll just use the 5% piece. And it really wasn't even 5%, it was less than 1%. So with that being said, again, public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, except the dead state. Okay? So where fiduciary money is concerned, now we're just going to the Constitution and putting the law out there. Yes, in unity we did fall asleep, Empress Jatali, we did that. We agreed to do it. We consented to do that. But let's look at the Constitution with regard to fiduciary money. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, law, and we, whenever we see the word acts, it's accounts or laws for us. Records, well, what records do we have? We've already shown that they're bankrupt. We've already shown that they have no way to pay. We did that. And actually, that was done in 1933 and all the way back to 1775. And before then as well. We've shown, the record shows that they're bankrupt. Now, this is Article 4 of the Constitution. Judicial proceedings of every other state. Full faith and credit cannot be used if you are not the state. It's not honored if you're not the state. It just so happens that we are. So where fiduciary money is concerned, we have every right for redress, and that's the word redress. You can look in the Rights of Indigenous People, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People for that. And the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Have we not done that with regard to fiduciary money? Yes, we have. We've proven judicially that we have the authority to do those things. Knowing this will assist in understanding the testing process, and this is us speaking at this point. Knowing this will assist in understanding the testing process that we previously assented to, we are remembering how to govern the vast estate by way of our experiences. So once you reach a certain point in your testing, you will understand what the test is about, what the next test will be if there be a next test, because at some point you won't need to be tested. Because you control the testing. All of us control the testing. We all call forth our own tests. That's not something that anyone else can do. We call forth our own tests. And then, you know, once we get to a certain point in the testing, then we already know what test we called forth and we just prepare. And then the test is over before it starts because we already demonstrate who we are and knowing the processes. So we will supersede all testing effortlessly. So, and I'm saying this for those who may get a little discouraged about the testing. We're going to, you know, many have already superseded the testing because you know a test is coming. The ancestors never test us without telling us. Every Moor who has ever done a POW demonstration where you went to jail, you knew before you went that you were going. Whether it be 5 minutes before you went or months before. The ancestors always told us beforehand that a test was coming and to prepare for it. And once we prepared for it, they were just preparing us to supersede a dead system and then take complete control of that system. And that's what states do. And that is why we declared our statehood. And that's why we're not afraid anymore. We used to be, but we're not anymore. So take heart when it comes to the testing and don't be afraid of the testing. Go ahead and test, and just know who you are and know that you're the law. Speak the court action language. Every test that we've been through has led up to this point where we feel completely comfortable doing the things that we're doing. How we feel about what we're doing will tell us where we are in our study and our testing. States and nations have customs and usages that all are bound to honor. And this is just another way of stating Article 4 of the Constitution. States and nations have customs and usages that all are bound to honor. The utter destruction of debt and the pure circulation of credit are our ancient financial, economic, and national customs and usages. So when someone says, oh, you're going to be investigated for burning money, no one burned any money. No one burned any money. Was there some debt burned? Yes, absolutely yes. We will continue to burn the debt. Because, see, this is the thing that the ancestors made clear to me about that. They said, when you burn that debt, then that gives you the authority to burn all other debt. Anything that is debt can be bundled and burned. That's biblical. That's in the Bibliophilio text. And that was actually prophesied that we were going to do that. So The burning of fiat authorizes the burning of all other debts according to the ancient customs and usage here at ancient Morocco. And the end on my computer did not want to work. So this is where the confusion came in at previously. I am not in the United States Corporation Company. I'm not in there. I am at Federal Way, Washington, ancient Morocco. So at the end of every city and state, sometimes when you're looking at documents, you'll see the corpses put U.S.A. or U.S. You know, they'll say, Washington, D.C., U.S. or Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Well, what they're saying is they're in a corporation, and when we say Federal Way, Washington, Morocco, and we could literally shorten that to Federal Way, Washington, MA, or ME, Moroccan Empire. And that would tell everyone that we know that we're at ancient Morocco. We never left. That's why our buildings are still here. That's why you can go to downtown Tacoma, Washington, Morocco, and see a courthouse with ancient lettering on it, where instead of it saying, where it will say, instead of it spelling the word Coliseum with a U, it spells it, or museum with a U, it spells museum with a V. And it's still there. And all of the states have that. So we get to specify where we are. And then, now that we know that we are at ancient Morocco, whenever someone offended us back in the day, someone offended us or something like that, let's say they sent something, a letter that says something offensive. Whenever someone sent a letter that said something offensive, we would first gather together with them and find out what the issue is that caused the energy to manifest on the paper like that. So we would connect with them and say, what did I do that made you upset? What happened? And we would talk it out. And then what we would do, once we reached togetherness and unity in the remedy, we would take the paper that they sent, and both would come together and burn it ceremonially to say all is forgiven. All is forgiven, and we will forget that this ever happened. And let's start fresh. And that's what we have to do with everything in terms of corporate paper, dead corpse paper. Because this land does not have two heads. So we're not using their stuff and our stuff at the same time. And let me clarify that also. Where fiat is concerned, during the transition, there will be two things going on, but they're not even or equal. So, for example, and this is something that the ancestors said, take a look at this. In order to switch out the debt, we have to get our hands on it. So the ancestors said, this is the idea, and this is the mechanism by which we're going to, they have shown me to do it. First, we have to start producing our own everything. And that just starts one thing at a time. We started with sea salt. So from this point, we're just going to put all of our energy and resources into into expanding our sea salt operation. And with that being said, we're going to accept more sovereign dollarium from Moors. We will accept fiduciary money from Moors or from citizens. And we will even accept fiat for it, but with the one caveat that anyone bringing fiat, the fiat goes into the fire immediately. We will have a fire on the spot. And then when we bring whatever fiat they have into our books, we burn theirs, and then we create new, and we put our money on our records, because our records will not have debt and credit on them. It's going to have credit, incoming, and outgoing, because that's really what all of this was supposed to be in the first place. And if you think about what they were doing, they were calling debt credit whenever it came in, but it was still debt. So we're credit, 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 and the only way to get the fiat that I can see to burn it is to accept it for what we have so that everyone can get what we get. But then when we take it, it goes straight into the fire. And then when we bring things onto our books, we do a currency exchange right there on the spot. So I would love to hear what you think about that strategy to get the exchange going quickly. Again, we're not going to be using fiat to do anything. You saw our travel documents, and you know what we've done with regard to our bank accounts, where we are the ones who terminated all corporate contracts with regard to the bank accounts. And we're now using our money to do whatever it is that we need to do. So we do have sovereign credits that come into the bank account, so we'll be using that as a resource also to enhance our sea salt operations and the commerce that we're going to be doing. We don't use fiat to do anything that has to do with our expansion. What we're doing is we're just going to accept it along with our other currencies. We're going to accept that for the product and not really accepting it for the product, because they'll be getting the product based on the currency exchange that we do. So it's not accepting it for the product. They can bring it if that's all they have, but when they bring it, we're going to switch it out. We switch it, and in reality, we could switch it out as soon as they bring it and give them fiduciary money, toss the fiat, and then say, okay, now what is it that you want? So when people bring fiat, we're not really even accepting it. We're saying you can switch that out for fiduciary money because we don't accept fiat. But and think about what these shop owners and stuff, they kind of gave us a hint when they stopped accepting it. They started saying, okay, no, we're just going to do cards. We're not going to accept quote unquote cash. Well, they were giving us a hint then of how to do things, of how to do what we're doing, how to manifest what we're doing. So no, we're not accepting fiat for the product. If people bring the product, because see, the citizens and the foreigners and the subjects, they need the products too, because they're having health things going on, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. If they bring fiat, we'll say, okay, we will take that, and I'm not even really going to touch the fiat. I'm going to tell them, go put it right over there in the trash can, or not even the trash can. It needs to go in a bag and then be put in the fire, okay, so that it doesn't end up circulating anymore. We cannot have that stuff circulating on our land. We just can't. It can't keep going like that. So I'm looking for as many ways as possible to switch it out for fiduciary money. And we can use our commerce to do that also, but we're taking it in to get rid of it, to dispose of it, because that's what the Federal Reserve does. Think about whenever the Federal Reserve changes out a bill or something, they would take one out of circulation and put the new one into circulation. So they would still accept the old one, but then just take it out of circulation and put new ones in. And for every one they took in to destroy, they would put a new, fresh one out there so that the money supply stayed high. So we're looking at that same strategy, but I would love to hear your feedback on how that is messing with my programming too, just because I've deprogrammed and reprogrammed myself to everything that has to do with us. And as soon as I did that, the ancestor said, okay, now this is the next step. The next step is going to be, you guys got to get that stuff out of circulation, because no one else is going to do it. No one else will do it. We have to do it because it's our land. And our constitutions don't mention debt like that. Our constitutions say gold coin in payment of debts. Well, we're not debtors. And again, we've gone over the definition of coin. We've gone over the definition of gold. We know we're the gold. We know we're the coin, because coin means sovereign. So let me know what you think about that strategy. And again, when the ancestor said that, I thought, are you serious? But they said that it has to come out of circulation. It has to. So, and be destroyed on the spot. On the spot. So what do you think about that, Morris? And you can star 6. Yeah, it's muted. So we have to get it out of circulation. And that's my thinking with all of this, is how do we get all of that stuff? And it's really not that much, because they have taken a lot of it out of circulation already. The only thing that they couldn't do, and this ought to tell us how sovereign we are, they were not going to take it out of our hands. Now, they took it from all the corpses and all of that, but they were not going to come and knock on the door and say, can you give us the fiat? They were never going to do that. We have to do that. And I just don't think that many people are going to bring fiat. I really don't, because most of them already know that it's not worth anything. And we'll be putting that out there. When we put our products out there, we'll be putting that out there. Any fiat brought to us will be destroyed immediately, and it'll be switched out for fiduciary money. Islam members.
I went to the bank a couple of days ago because I don't like to deal with fiat myself. Mm-hmm. So I took out some notes. I was really surprised on how dirty and old and raggedy they were. I went there. I thought I would get crisp, notes in order to do this work. But I think they really need us to get this thing going.
Yes, they and it's really not even. It doesn't really have as much to do with their need as it does. This is what we're supposed to do. It's bad out there. We got work to do. We've got work to do. Because it's very bad. Things are not good out there, and we're the remedy. Islam members.
It was also a sign to me that they are no longer printing. We've been told that for a while. So if we're getting notes that look like that, it just indicates to me they're no longer printing.
Nope. They're not. We told them to stop. and we've been saying this for 2 or 3 or 4 years. We can't tell them to stop, but we still, and we still use that stuff. We have to actually, follow our own law, and not follow it, but our actions have to match what we state. So I will say this, that the fiat burning ceremony that we had, Moors know, we all know that that's what we should be doing, because the energy, just the what we've been hearing from the Moors about that, affirmed that that's what we should be doing, because energetically Moors have gotten boosts. Some Moors were crying, and you can look at some of the comments under that video and some of the things that we've been hearing. The ancestors affirmed by way of the energy that is what we should be doing, is getting rid of that, because we did not print that. We didn't print it. It didn't come from us. And any paper that is saying you have to give that can be burned too, ceremonially, according to our customs and usage. We read the definition of customs and usage. Customs and usage here on this land is not circulating debt. Customs and usage for us is circulating credit and greatness and all of the great things that see through us and by us, all of the nations of the earth will be blessed. No one gets anything until we give it. And they've been waiting for us to get rid of the debt. So the ways that I see to do it, Moors, is we have to start producing. That's a must. We have to start producing, because production has and listen, production has stopped in honor of what we said. We said you can't keep buying things with debt because you're not buying it. And they were producing things using a debt system. And so production, when you see store shelves empty, don't get scared. That's what we said. We said don't keep sending things that are created with debt. Now, will the essential things be there? Yes, they will be, until, such time as we say, okay, that's it. No one's going to starve. So don't buy into that programming. I will say this about all of that. The fear-mongering only had 2 or 3 programs that they could use repeatedly with the fear-mongering. One of them it was jail, and that's when the foreign court jester, and I can't even give him that title because he really don't exist. He's just a noise in the wind. When he said something about you're going to get in trouble for burning money, that's debt. And but the reason that was put out was to take hold of anyone who hears that and put some fear of jail in your mind. Don't let them do that. They don't control nothing. They don't control nothing. And the only thing they had left was words. That's it. Words only. That's it. And that's why they want to be in speaking those words, because the spells was the only thing that they had in the first place, really. And now that we have overcome and superseded and trampled and stomped and conquered the words, the language, it's you know, that's all they had. And so, you know, we just need to continue doing what we're doing, and watch and then make sure that we know that we're the state and it's what we say, not what anyone else says. We've known that as the heirs, that it's what we say and not what someone else says. So, with regard to Islam, Empress.
This might be a little bit off topic, but it kind of sort of lines in to some degree. I don't know if everyone remembers, maybe about 2 decades ago, where we used to have the paper food stamp coupon, and then the government transitioned us and took us off of the paper food stamps and gave you the food stamp debit card. And I remember when they did that, it wasn't like a one-day thing. It took, here in Ohio, I think it took about a whole year to get everybody to switch over from the paper food stamp to your card. Until you got your card in the mail, you continue to go pick up monthly your paper coupons at the food stamp office. And then once you got your card, you no longer would get the paper food stamp card. So I was just thinking about how they did transition the different ways of the food stamp money back a couple decades ago.
Yeah. And the Empress, that's a great analogy in terms of this transition that we're doing. We're making this happen. We know that. And the transition will be like that. It will be like that. You know, we have to tell everyone, not, you know, and it's not going to be that difficult, because if you think about the grocery stores, they don't really even use that much of that other stuff, you know. But the ones that do use it, you know, some, and I can hear it. I just heard it in the spirit realm. Someone on this call thought to themselves, well, whenever I go to the grocery store, I see a bunch of fiat all over the place. That may be true for where you are. That just means you have work to do. And when you are ready to get to this point of the fiduciary money, then you'll see less and less of it, because you're the one who makes those changes happen, and so that you're able to see them by your demonstrations.
Islam.
You know, Islam, Empress.
And I'm thinking about what the Empress just said. So that would mean that we would gather information for each, you know, person or merchant. And then, you know, when we gather information, when we're ready for them to make that transition and have another system in place, then we notify and then, you know, and then...
the other system is already in place. It's already done. We just need to clear up at the quote-unquote street level.
Okay. So
that means among each other.
Okay. So then on the street level, we would gather their information, have them register or whatever the situation may be, and gather information, and then let them know when they, you know, when they are in transition mode. Give them a notice that you can come pick up your card or something like that. I mean, as far as what she was saying.
I see what you're saying, Empress. As we begin to produce, because we have to produce. As we begin to produce, they will come. They will come. Now, on the big corporations, quote unquote, big corporation corporate level, it's already done. Already done. Everything is already done for us. It's already done. We gave the command starting in 2017. And then people started leaning, more started leaning en masse. And then with the liens told them no more fiat. Remember the language in the liens, Morris, no more fiat. And so then you started seeing them say, we don't accept that here. And, you know, and that has gone on nuclear. That's gone on super high. So as the final changes will happen as we begin producing. Okay, we have to produce. We have to produce whatever it is that we produce, because we've been the merchants and the titans and the commercial gods since time immemorial into perpetuity. So we have to start right where we are. That's not a big, huge, gigantic thing. That is a start right where you are. With us, we're just going to start with the sea salt, you know, and we've already started with that. You all know about what we've been doing and showing with regard to the sea salt piece, and just start getting it sent out as often and as quickly as we can. And other products, we came across some other products, some fresh seaweed that we can ship anywhere. And it will still be floating when you get it. And living when you get it, because seaweed is living. Islam, Empress.
Islam. So what I'm hearing you say is whatever that the Moor is doing, whether it's sewing clothes or selling cars or selling oil or whatever, not selling, but whatever endeavor that the Moor is doing, when whoever comes to get that product or service, you let them know that, you know, we can exchange your fiat for fiduciary money and do everything that you said.
Yep. Like so they can bring fiat. They can bring fiat, and you just, when you put it on your books about what the sale was, what the exchange was, you do a currency exchange of your own and put it in sovereign fiduciary money. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the only way we're going to get it off the street, because it needs to come off the street. And the stuff we produce is going to be the best high quality stuff. And Moors, we have to start where we are, because everything else earth-wide is done. All the big stuff, all the heavy lifting is already done. We, right where we are, have to do the rest. And then as you're doing things like claiming buildings and properties and things like that, we're still going to be doing that the sovereign allodial way. That has to be done so that we stay uncorrupted. Now, I don't even really want to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, because whenever I think about this part.
And excuse me, I apologize. You've cut in and out a couple of times, so I just wanted you to be mindful that happened.
I did not know that. I didn't know that, but I know why.
I don't think it was on my side, so Islam.
Yeah. Is it cutting out for anyone else?
Not for me. Islam.
Anyone else? Empress, it might have been, I had a fan blowing directly into this mic right here, so that might be part of the problem.
Okay. I'm sorry, you had cut out again just now, Empress. So is it me? Is it me? Did any of the other Moors say it was? Did any of the other Moors?
No, she's been fine.
Okay.
Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the chat, they're saying that the sound is fine. But thank you for saying something, just because it's good to check the sound every now and then. We know some of our teachers have been having things cut in and out, right while they're speaking, So we want to make sure that everyone can hear. So, but as I was stating before, yes, we will take the fiat. It's not an acceptance of it. It is taking it and destroying the debt. And yes, they can get the product. And then when we bring it onto our books, as gold-backed sovereign. We'll print fiduciary money to take care of the debt that was brought. And that's really that's basic currency exchange right there. And that starts with me and you, us, doing it in our day-to-day, every day, what we do. Now, the thing that the ancestors brought it back again to the forefront. I didn't want to, because I don't like to focus on things like this. But for those but obviously someone's asking the question, so I'm going to put it out there because I asked the question too. For the Moors that are doing commerce, there's a story, because some will say, well, some Moors are just going to take fiat and they're just going to be back in that fiat system. We're encouraging you not to do that. When you take it, destroy it. And then put fiduciary money on your books. Why? Because there's a story in the Biblios Heliothek about a couple who were told to do the same thing. They are Ananias and Sapphira. Do the study on Ananias and Sapphira in the Biblios Heliothek, because they were doing the same thing that we're doing. When I say they, the kingdom in the Biblios story, they were doing the same thing. They were doing exchanges and bringing in that, the stuff that was no good. And each was on their honor to destroy, to bring in the right, whatever it is that they received. Don't hold back any of it. Bring it all in, and then the king was going to destroy it. And they don't tell the whole story in the Biblios Heliothek, by the way, either. But Ananias and Sapphira they sold some property, and they were to bring in what the profit that they made into the king. And the king said, and it was actually a prophet, a prophet of God, quote unquote, who was doing the taking of everything, all the profits in. And he said, the Spirit had told him when Ananias came in first, I believe, because they came in separately. Ananias came in first, and when Ananias came in, the prophet knew that she was going to lie. So he just asked her, because the Spirit told him to just ask her. And he said, you sold some property. Is this all that you made? Because she brought some in, but she didn't bring all of it in. And she lied and said, yes, this is all that we made here. And when she told the lie, she dropped dead on the spot. And so the prophet had the people to carry her out, and then her husband came. Or vice versa. One of them came first, and I'll have to go back and read the story. And then the consort, the partner, the spouse came in and was asked the same question, and he lied too. And the same thing happened to him. He fell dead on the spot. Now, and then the people carried them out carried them out and put them together. Whenever I hear stories like that, I'm not sure that people dropped dead. I think that commercially they were killed the same way that we pretended to be. At commerce, we were not doing commerce because we thought we were dead corpses. So whenever we allowed someone else to capitalize us, and whenever we accepted someone else's person and said, this is me, the all caps as drawn up on paper by someone else, someone foreign, that's commercial death. To accept someone else's person and say, okay, I will be this person that you said. Fake court, you put an all caps name on a piece of paper, that's me. If you say that and you accept that, and I'm doing that for illustrative purposes, we know that we don't accept anyone else's person. When you do that, that's commercial death, and they automatically start feeding off of you, throwing you in jail and using things, using your quote-unquote credit to get things and do things and get treasury bonds and create treasury bonds and treasury debt bonds and all of that. You know, so we don't accept anyone else's person. And now that we know that, we are, self-governing is on our honor. I love that because it invigorates me. It gives me energy that it is by our word that we govern ourselves first. You know, no one can tell us what to do in terms of being honorable. Honorable is just who we are. And some say, well, what about the dirty Moors? What do we do about them? We don't do anything about them. Let the ancestors handle that. Listen, I've seen it. It's nothing for us to worry about. Let's just make sure that we're honorable in the things, in all that we do, to the best of our ability, honorability. And we have the ability to be honorable at all times. So, you know, I think it's very liberating to be able to self-govern, because that's what we're doing and that's where we are and that's who we are. We self-govern. We govern ourselves. And as we move forward in this, getting rid, because the products that we produce are going to be, when natural products come out, everyone wants natural products. The whole earth wants natural products, and they want them from us. So, you know, yes, they can bring whatever they have, they can bring it. We prefer more sovereign dollarium or fiduciary money or gold and silver. And really, gold and silver, I'm 100% certain that the other nations will bring that for what we have. We're dealing with each other right now in terms of getting rid of whatever we need to get rid of. And that will also make it, because there are some Moors who worked really hard in that fiat system. And, you know, they deserve the products, and we deserve to take the debt and do away with it. It's very empowering. Once you burn your first 100 fiat note, the rest will be a piece of cake. You burn that first one, you'll be ready to burn everything else. You will be. So we're ready. And so now the ancestors have said, okay, now take all that you have and focus on manifesting the sea salt and the commerce. Do that. along with, of course, we're never going to stop doing the things that we do with regard to our government. Our all caps and our in capitis diminutio minima do the sea salt. Our all lowercase letters and our in capitis diminutio minima do the governing. And then whenever, and the state does the governing also, you know. So there's a difference between which entities we use, which beings we use in order to do things. And we can, in one sentence, go from doing commerce to governing. And really, our governing is commerce. You know, we govern commerce. We govern merchant actions on our land. So I'm excited for us. I'm excited for this next step. I just know that our ancestors wanted us to split the hairs down the middle and make the distinction and show that we know the distinction between dead capitalism and living capitalism, dead fiat and fiduciary money. And the only difference is who creates it. And are you the state? Are you the government? Are you the nation? Yes, all Moors are. Always have been. Always will be. The ancestors just know how to help us to split the hairs and decide how we want to do things. So in the chat, our UK fiduciary trustee is asking, can you place under this video a template lien on the corporation who print the fiat? Yes, it's the United States Corporation Company that was doing that previously. And we just went straight for the head with the liens, straight for the head. So, and that lien is under all of these videos. We put the link automatically under the videos. Are there any other comments or wisdom or questions or even some, you know, if you have some reservations about what we're saying and doing, if you want to express them and vocalize them.
Islam,
Empress.
Okay, so my printer, and I think you mentioned this before, that the printers did give some problems with the Delarium. I didn't get any problems with Delarium, but I am having some issues. Like, let me do the ones, but as soon as I did a 5, and then I tried to do a 50, it printed like a little head, and then it said www.usrules.org or something like that. So I'm like wondering, in the past, what was the remedy for that?
So with Delarium, that never came up.
Okay.
With the fiat and doing the currency exchange there, we mentioned it last time on the call, and we'll mention it again. And I'm not saying this is you. I'm saying that when people have problems with their printer in moving to this next step, then the ancestors are generally saying, make sure you take a look at ensuring that you don't have any corporate contracts, ensuring that you, that you've done the lien on the social and all of that. So go back and look at the things that we suggest according to the law that Moors do.
Yeah, I've done all that, so I'm stumped too with this. So I'm thinking maybe I just contact the printer people, because it's my printer, but yeah.
So that's part of that. That's part of it right there. And the ancestors don't really waste time when it comes to showing you what it is. If you feel that you need to pick the phone up and call them about it, just make sure you do court actions, because it seems like picking up the phone and talking to them without doing the court action language is not suggested because that's contracting. That's contracting.
No, I talk to anyone I do the court action, so I'm just trying to figure out because I've done so many liens, and I did the termination of corporate contracts, and it was funny because it was working for the $1, and then as soon as I got to anything higher than that, it started to do that. So
also the energy, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your energy. We're suggesting that anyone who's having issues with that, please just take a deep breath. Walk away for a moment, take a deep breath, and then come back later and try it again. Because let's say, for example, and this is just in general, let's say, for example, Moors, you're starting to print your fiduciary money, and everything is good at first, but then you start having issues because you got scared. Or because you were thinking, shoot, I'm going to print $50 million right now. You know, the energy has a lot to do with it also, you know. So I'm saying, I'm not saying that you're having that, the energy is the issue. I'm saying be sure that while you're doing this demonstration that you're able to clear energy as you're doing each step.
Okay. You know? Okay. Yeah.
You know, we suggest that for everything and everyone, everything that we're doing. You know, we have to do energy checks all throughout the day. On this call, I'm checking my energy all day, every day, because you know we want to make sure that the information is not lost or that anything happens with regard to missing a step energetically. Our energy can do that. We're very powerful energetically. Very powerful.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to keep, inquiring within too. And I had done a lot yesterday too. I had done, so I'm like, but, I'm like,
when you say done a lot yesterday, what do you mean?
I was working on a lot of different paperwork, affidavits, and it was my birthday too. But I was like, okay, for my birthday, thank you. I was like, for my birthday, I'm gonna go ahead and get this burning ritual done,
Yes.
So I was excited. I still burnt them, because I had already scanned them in and stuff like that. I had, I was gonna use yours, but I was like, I don't have this. I can use some of this too, just to do. So, but yeah, I will keep inquiring within. But thank you for the encouragement. The word.
Yes. The fact that you were able to print some says that the printer will do it.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It will do it. It's just, our energy.
I do think I'm in the middle of some tests right now too. So I'm getting tested right now, and that is something because last week I was working a lot on anxiety and clearing. So I cleared out a lot of anxiety off of me. Yes. And then at my my parcel that I own, they posted an eviction notice on my door. And so I was like, well, I did a lien, sent them the notice to appear, command to appear, and I'm going to do that today. But yeah, it's been, and then I got to get things done for my conveyance too. So I'm like, it might be a lot too much going on at once, and might need to just take a breather or something. So, but yeah.
It's nothing that you cannot handle because our ancestors won't put anything on us too much that we can't handle. Energy, sincerity, honesty, energy, all of that, and I had posted something that because our Grand Sheik says that a lot. He says that a lot about energy and honesty and sincerity and all of that, making sure that we check our energy. So I'm always just checking my energy. And just from my own experience, it works like a charm to check our energy and keep checking it throughout as we are demonstrating, Yeah.
Well, you know what I found out after the notice came, I'll be like, I'll be like devastated, just start crying, like I gotta cry it out, and then I'll feel better. But I was like, I'm not crying this time. I was like, I'm not crying, and I was like, wow, you didn't cry, and I was like, you know what? Because one thing that the ancestors are showing me is your energy is your command, and so I'm like, I need to really take account for all my emotions, and not at some point the crying and clearing helped me, and it could still help me to a degree, but the ancestors are like wanting me to level up, like if you gotta govern, you gotta work through these things, and so yeah, it's my birthday, and they decided to test me around here, so I'm like, okay, this is my gift, I guess.
I know that when tests come, nothing will happen without our consent, without our assent. Nothing happens without it. Nothing happens without it. That I know for sure. Firsthand, and I was facing, a bunch of big bullies, in a cell, and they could not move because I did not, so, yeah, nothing can happen until we assent to it happening.
Yeah.
And it won't happen if we don't. All we have to do is stand. We have to stand.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep, we have to stand.
Yeah.
So look closely at anything that has happened in the past in terms of demonstrations, documentation, paperwork, and all of that. Keep looking at that, and you have already, already. Some of it you stated here, what to look for and what to look at. The ancestors have already told you what to look for and what to look at. Some of it you expressed here. Just keep looking at it. Keep looking at whatever it is that they lead you to look at,
Okay, I will. All right. Thank you. I yield.
No problem. I just know that our ancestors would have us to, we have to, Moors, look closely at everything. We have to look at our energy. We have to look at at the honorability and the honesty, because that's a big one right there. Honesty, our energy and our emotions, and then the law. Because this is a test. Everything that happens is a test specifically designed for us to pass the test. Every test that's put out there is designed for us to pass it. It's designed that way, for us to literally pass the test.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
I can personally attest to that part right there as far as being tested. I had did a whole process for my conveyance and such, and they quote unquote re-seized their property during a demonstration for my tags that they said that was unlawful and I didn't have insurance, blah 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 blah. But they wanted to be evil and malicious over here anyway, so they did what they did, and my spirit told me I needed to go follow up with them as well. So they contacted me on my phone. I didn't answer. I saw their message, and on my own terms, I contacted them. And you know how they have the prompts to put the Social Security number in, or the last four rather. I hit 0. I didn't respond to that. And then they had said put your zip code in, because I didn't put the last 4 in. I hit 6 or 5 or 6 zeros, and I hit the pound sign because I wasn't giving that either. So I was transferred to a person, and instantly went to all rise and stand, and then the lady hung up on me. So I called back, and then I spoke to somebody else, and she was like, well, I did not identify their person at all. She's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't understand. She was like, Mr. Supervisor? I was like, actually, yes, I would. So it took me a minute for them to get me transferred over. And then so their supervisor their person. She was trying to help me and assist me, and the lady said, she goes, since we can't identify you, I don't know how to help you. I was like, well, somebody contacted me, and I was like, the doing business as, name that you have in your system did contract before, but I said, but that terminated, this, that, and the third. But then she goes again, since we can't identify you, I don't know how to help you. Then I mentioned about being a beneficiary and a trustee, and she goes, oh, she was like, well, since you said that, well, then you can send us your paperwork and let us know and the account number, who you're the trustee of, and this, that, and the third, and we can go from there. I was like, fax number, please.
Fiduciary trustee. That's
Islam.
We have to know we're not talking that it's not their person. We're the state. It's our person.
Islam, Empress.
Yep, I was like, so Islam.
Nobility, let her finish, please. Go ahead, Empress.
So yeah, I instantly, because like I said, I did the whole process already, and I had everything on the public notice website that Calameo. So I went and I faxed all those things over, and then I also gave them the link to my Calameo, and I said, take notice, everything has been done. I sent them the lien that had been done for the the Los Estados Unidos. I had sent them the one that I had did, the court action, the appearance, and the arrest command, and the Constitution, and I was like, and the fiduciary and all the other stuff, and the protected person, I sent them all, and the link to them to do and I instructed them to do research on this link here that has all my information there. So I was like, you are commanded to do so. No prontonc.
Yeah.
Because they were testing me. They were literally testing me to see which person would respond, right? Yeah. And so I had sent you, I don't know if you had time to look at it today, but actually the video that you had sent me about the man laying in the hospital bed and he was going on and on, I did some other further research, and he had did another video about, and he pulled out military money. And I said, dear God, military money, come on now. And it was old military money. I said, so they sit there, they made their own corporate military money. How much more is a Moor supposed to do concerning their own resources? How much more? How much? And it's infinite. So I'm just like, dear God. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. We're smoking out the evil energy here.
So, let me go back just one comment with regard to the Empress who said that they put a eviction notice on your door. Ensure that you know that they must evict their person. They can't evict your person. They must evict their person, because the Moor said, take all debt off the land. So you must clarify that you know the difference between your person and their person.
Well, Islam, that actually went through my mind, because they also put it, was sent it in my mailbox, but they didn't. The funny thing is, they didn't put it in my mailbox. They gave me a key. I had some other packages too, and they put it, for the first time ever, put mail where the packages were. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then when I opened it, it said, it had my name, not my name, not the dead person name.
It's their person. Their person is dead. Your person is living.
Yeah,
but you have to clarify that.
And it said or Jane Doe. I've never seen that before. It said or Jane Doe or whatever the name is.
That means that they cannot evict you. Yeah. They know that, but you, this is yours.
I figured that out. I was like, that's why I won't go to their court. But I didn't want to just rely on that. I was like, I'm still gonna do.
No, you have to rebut. Yeah. You have to properly rebut and say who your person is and that your person is the beneficiary and you are the fiduciary trustee, and whoever it is that's trying to put their person out, they need to put their person out because they're all bankrupt.
Yeah, you confirmed, like, when you said that, because it crossed my mind that they weren't talking to me. You know what I mean? Because and
they will even let you know they're not talking to you.
Yeah, and that they knew that they had to put the dead one out. So it did cross my mind. So that's exactly what it is. So
yes, Empress.
Yeah.
That is the case, and see, that's also the ancestors saying do some study on that and make sure that when you speak, you know that that's not you.
Yeah, there's one thing that I do a court action, but and I did the title and everything to the parcel, but there is one thing that I'm questioning about. I know I need to send them some commands since I did that, and stuff like that. I actually had a dream, like, that they were trying to talk to me, like, oh, this is not easy, like the person doing business as management or whatever. And but there's two things. I'm like, they send bigger packages to the main office, and then they notify you to come pick them up. And so I did go pick one package up there, and I did a court action and everything. And then I said I needed them to send me something, and then they were like, oh, did you pay for it? And I just was like, speak to the person doing business as management, and I left, and then but I was like, should I send a command for them to send the packages to my door? Are they calling me to court when I go pick up, or am I overthinking this? Because I'm trying to figure out if there's any holes or anything.
You are a little bit overthinking it. Okay. Clarify the person that they're speaking to. You clarify the person because they can't do it. They're telling you, we cannot point you out. You must do it. Okay. And when you do it, you can give them whatever instructions or commands you want to give them and tell them, deliver all parcels that are addressed to my person. Call it your person like you call a pencil your pencil. Okay. And fiduciary. Yes. Because you're the fiduciary trustee. The person is the living natural person. They keep talking about a dead person though, and trying to tell a dead person that they can and can't do this and can and can't. No. You do whatever we tell you when it comes to our living natural person. We've proven that with the protected person document that we showed a couple of weeks back. Yeah. We're not protecting their dead person. They can do whatever they want with their person. They created that thing.
Islam.
We do what we do with our person. And our person we can say our person is protected because of us. We're the fiduciary trustee. You see what I'm saying, Empress?
Yes, I do.
So give all of that some really good thought and study, and then demonstrate it especially where evictions are concerned. Because see, when corpses get eviction notices and things like that, they're just doing what we told them to do. We said, take your debt and get out. Your debtors have no property. They don't own any property. Get out of here. So they say, okay, we got to evict all our persons. We got to take all our persons with us. Okay, bye.
Right, yeah.
We're living natural persons because the state has the living natural persons. We can't even produce dead persons. So, but all Moors must know that. That is the basis for every demonstration that is ever done.
And I felt they did it because I had just posted the U.S. Dead certificate on the public record, as well as the president appointment, and then that happened right after. I said, yeah.
That's the ancestor saying, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me what you know.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, Empress. And then hold on one second, nobility. Empress Angel, you absolutely you nailed it with that whole knowing the person piece. See, we get they know they have to do what we tell them when we're talking about natural persons, because natural persons have benefits. Natural persons have benefits, okay? So we can say our natural person can have this and this and this and this. The gods don't need anything. So we're saying, okay, we're going to operate in this dimension also, and our natural person can get whatever they want to get in this dimension. And then if it didn't come out of your mouth or you didn't write it, then that is not your person, and you must clarify that with every demonstration, whether it's evictions, foreclosures, wanting to get things, etc. Your person is the beneficiary.
Wow. I made sure I expressed that without any room for ambiguity, that the person that they had fictitiously did business with is not in their jurisdiction anymore. And I went as far as to state in the notice to them that the numbers are sovereign, and now it's a sovereign account. I stated that as well. I was like, no, you guys do not have to claim. And then, like I stated earlier, she knew that they couldn't have this person anymore. And she's like, since you can't identify, and like you said every time, like they can't identify. And she said it out her mouth. She said, I cannot identify you.
Period.
That's right. I was like, exactly. I know you can't. And you know,
she's an individual. She's not the state, so states have persons. Not. Come on now.
Oh, I have to send you this too, but I wish I sent it to you earlier because it was I went and I looked up in their hold on, let me just go and find it. Oh, it's the Securities Exchange Commission, right? Yes. And in 2018. They were doing all their documentation in black. And this is One Main Holdings Incorporation, right? And then that was in 2018. Honey, in 2022, guess what color it's in?
Blue.
You already know. Already. Like that
they
part.
Have to do what you tell them. They have to. They have to do. And not only that, I'm glad you brought the SEC up. But let's hear from that brother. One of the nobles had something he wanted to say, and then we'll come back to the SEC and also to the hybrids getting sick, because I mentioned that earlier as well. Islam mobility.
This is Malik. I forgot the question I initially had, but you were about to say something to us before that question was asked about 30, 40 minutes ago. I was wondering if you went into what you were going to say.
I was talking about the hybrids getting sick, and I said I was going to come back to that. Because she was talking about a video that she had sent. So I'll say this about them. I saw a video. The video that I sent to the Empress initially was of a hybrid that was in the. He was doing a video from the hospital, and he was talking about what was going on with him, and he said some things that I thought, oh my word, it's happening. So we have the cure, and we are the cure, and we are the remedy to everything that has to do with on earth with an imbalance that causes unhealthiness. We are the cure for it. They haven't been putting this out there, but according to the hybrid that was speaking in the video, and of course he wasn't talking to us or about us, we were just watching it. He was saying that that there are a lot of the hybrids, because he knows what's going on from his level of understanding. He was saying that there's a lot of them in the hospital quietly dealing with things like flesh-eating bacteria, which is really leprosy. And he said he used the term leprosy. And then with him, his body is just rejecting and just holding an infection, and the infection won't leave, and it's causing things like his foot broke open and all this stuff oozed out of his foot, and they had to cut off a toe. And
it split open. It exploded.
Yeah, he said it exploded. I was like, oh.
But remember, he said that he was gripped with fear. He said he was fearful to go to the hospital. Remember? And so we had talked about that before, about how fear can paralyze you, but you have to override it. But this whole poor man, he let the fear paralyze him before he decided to go, and then he found himself, the amputee of a toe, and it just kept going and spreading, and so he sat there and he hoped and prayed that he would get out. I don't remember how long ago he posted that video, but the other one that I sent you was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this one was recent. This one was like yesterday or day before yesterday that was posted. So my point being, it's like what we were saying. All I could think of while I was listening to what he was saying, and then he also mentioned something about he was really glad that there were foreign doctors who were helping him. That's what he called them, foreign. But he's really the foreigner. He said that he was glad that because they really know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought about us, because the ones that he was talking about look like us, and then look like our brothers and sisters from Asia. But the point I wanted to make was, all I thought was they just need to put him, his whole body and everything need to be put in a bath of sea salt and water, and he just needs to sit in there and be taking sea salt, because his body is too alkaline, too acid, too acidic, and that's what causes that is acid, because the acid that's already naturally in the body, and then you're taking in acidic foods all the time and acidic drinks and all of this kind of stuff. No, you got to go alkaline, because, but anyway, I said all that to say this, they're not saying anything about people who are dealing with all of that stuff, but the hospitals are filling up with people with things that they should not have, like tuberculosis. He mentioned he had tuberculosis. And I'm like, that's from the 30s and the 40s. Why is that popping up now? And something else, other things. And then I saw something about, they showed a certain type of quote unquote, and they calling it, I'll just use the term gorilla pox. They talked about it, but it starts with an M. And the only reason I'm not saying this because I'm not going to give it any life like that. But it looked to me like chicken pox. That's what it looked like, chicken pox, when I saw photos of people with it, And I thought, okay, we're the cure. We have the remedies for all of that stuff. We have the remedies for all of that. We have the remedy for everything. Heart disease, cancer, and all of that doesn't even stand a chance when it comes to the Moors and the remedies that we have. So, and our first most effective remedy is to fast and drink water. That's the first and quickest way to get some healing, Moors. No matter what it is you're dealing with, if you go on a 3-day fast where you don't eat any food, you just drink water, and maybe take some sea salt, some natural sea salt, not the kind you buy in the store, because that stuff ain't natural. I'm talking about natural kind that you harvest, or that we're going to eventually get, and we're going to have it's going to have to be put in the stores too. Okay, so we're looking at all of that. All of that is where we're going, is all natural things in the stores. All of that is a part of why we have to have our own money, and all of that is because every grocery store was put here for us to put our things in it and use our money. But we had to set up our own money system first, and then make it so that no matter who you are on earth, you can use our money and you can access the products and things that you need. And so we've done that. The fiduciary money is can be used by anybody, and at some point we will, we're going to be expanding on all of that, but we want everybody to be healed, subjects included, and so as we move forward, Moors, we must demonstrate who we are. Because there are things that are popping up now that's saying, look, Moors, y'all the only ones that can fix this stuff. The only ones that can fix it. We are the remedy and the answer to everything. Everything that's going on. And it shouldn't, I used to be overwhelmed by that every now and then. Not anymore. Whenever I feel like there may be something like that, which I don't even have that feeling anymore. But in the past, when I did feel like that, I would just come back to me and say, okay, what am I doing right now? Come back to the moment and say, okay, well, I need to make some sea salt, make sure I have some, and then get ready to go into production and look at different ways to produce it and look at ways that are healthy to get it out there. And any other things we can think of. I mean, the ancestors gave us a brilliant way to get the seaweed out. The seaweed is going to be like the easiest thing ever to get out there. And seaweed is a living being. That's a living. But see, we only deal with living things.
Islam, Empress, and the man who was speaking earlier, he had mentioned how seaweed, the modern day Japanese, they eat seaweed to combat radiation poisoning and all of these different, things that are out there. They eat seaweed because he was talking about, and cancer also. He was talking about fluoride and how fluoride is being used in the water. And he mentioned all these water sources that have fluoride and how they he has said that there were places in the world where people had gotten so much fluoride in them that they get the dun, and they literally get stuck, and they can't talk and they can't function, and they really get, because of all the fluoride that is in the water. And he said that we already know the chemtrails, but he said the chemtrails have fluoride in it also. And he was just talking about how the seaweed counteracts all of that.
You know what? And it's actually the salt in the seaweed that counteracts all of that. Mm-hmm. Because the seaweed, it comes straight from the same saltwater bodies that we get our sea salt from. And, sea salt, listen, anything that's not natural, sea salt will break it down, whether it breaks it down over a short period of time or a long period of time. Sea salt will break down anything. I don't care what it is. You can put it in your lotion and in your toothpaste and all of that. It will break that stuff down and have it running like water in 2 seconds. I don't care how thick something is. Speaking of thick, even mucus. Sea salt will have that stuff running through so quickly that it's not even funny. It breaks everything down that it comes in contact with in the most beautiful, natural way. Painless, beautiful way. So, the ancestors are saying now get ready to produce. And again, any other Moors that want to do sea salt, feel free. We don't have a lock on sea salt. Everybody needs to be producing it if you ask me. We all, and then we can assist each other with, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? I don't have a lock on see salt. I don't have a lock on any of this. And in fact, we put it on the public record so that others will do it along with us, There are Moors in this territory who have picked up on it and started, experimenting and things at their domiciles and, things like that. I'm like, hey, we have to. So we're the key, we're the cure. And everything that we see manifesting at this point is in preparation for our abundant, near, like right now future. Our right now future is so bright that you need to go to another universe to avoid the light if you're thinking you want to get away from the light. Shades won't do it. anything that you want to produce, the land has it. The land has it, and all of it is for our good. I mean, the seaweed, oh my word, it was so good. I deep fried some seaweed day before yesterday, because I'm still working through that whole only eat off the land, or make the majority of what you eat from the land that you go out and get, and then put things with it, So I had to go to the grocery store for the yams because I didn't grow the yams, but I was able to get the seaweed I went out and got it straight out of the water, out of the sea, because I know that's the sea. They say it's the Pacific Ocean, but that's a sea because it is so salty in some places, and in other places it's so fresh you can literally just drink it. But you can drink salt water too. It's healing. So, and then I was also going to say something about the SEC, because Empress Angel brought up the SEC.
Yes, and how they have started doing things in blue, not even on their site.
That's because they're shutting their part of it is already shut down. We have to take the reins there. The ancestors have been dealing with me, and they've already put some Moors they pushed some Moors into the forefront who are actually, in my opinion, directly responsible for them saying, okay, hey, y'all can have it. You're the SEC and not us, in terms of letting the Moors know that Moors, this is y'all, this is your apparatus here, so y'all use it. But those Moors don't know yet that they are the SEC and not the other way around. They were just manhandling them using jurisdiction and identity. Manhandling them. I'm talking about had those fools going, did you go to Yale Law School? Where did you get this information from? Yep. Some Moors that we, and one of the Moors is he's doing capitalism. He's doing capitalism, and we honor that he's doing capitalism as long as the people that he has capitalized know that that's what he's doing. He was able to prove they couldn't even get him on him claiming 50 million in capital. He had 50 million. We have trillions in capital, but we have not, us coming together, and we're going to talk about that in the future. That's not something we need to do right this second, but we'll do it as soon as you all say. I don't have any say over things like that. But with regard to the SEC, we just need to put something out on the public record saying that, we're the SEC, we're the National Securities and Exchange Commission, because there always was a National Exchange Commission. There always was. I first heard that term from the guy that the subject that was doing Bitcoin he was doing major. He was supposedly worth billions with the Bitcoin piece. And he mentioned he was trying to get away from the SEC, so he mentioned the National Securities and Exchange Board or something like that. So he was trying to move over into our little area or put that information out there. So I did a little research, and, we've always been the national government. There is no other. We're the national government. And so we just need to put something on the public record. And I forget I think his name it starts with a G, who is the Gensler, who was the former custodian previously in the Office of Securities and Exchange Chairman. And we officially, you are removed. The National Securities and Exchange is here. So we're putting that on the public record right now. Because we that's who we are. And they knew this was coming, so they, of course, started putting things in blue for us to go ahead and take it over. And then in order for us to take it over, Moors, and this is key, we had to put in red, they had to see the red documents first in Capitis Diminutio Nolo, and they say, and then we would meet at the blue. The red, white, and blue is what that's all about. So let's make sure that we're clear on the fact that everything that we have said and spoke about it's been in front of our faces the whole time. We just needed to see it and then speak it and call it out for what it really is. So the red, white, and blue, it's about the lettering. The white lettering, if you look at the treaty has a black background and white lettering in the former Library of Congress. That's because in order to even put that on the record, the lettering could not be black because it's a treaty. It is the treaty. It's the supreme treaty, but it's the supreme treaty because we put it on the record first. That's why. And then we put it on the record in red first and then in blue. And took it to Olympia, Washington, Morocco, and gave it to the subjects previously doing business as the military there. And there were actually other Moors with us when we did that demonstration. So, Moors, we...
Islam, I just posted the image. I'm sorry to cut you, but I was looking. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see something here.
You can click on it and it comes bigger.
Okay.
But it says attorney in fact on there for the quote unquote attorney who did the paperwork for Douglas H. Shulman. And I found that interesting because he didn't say that he was an attorney. He just said he's an attorney in fact.
Yes, I see that. I see it. I see that. And let's see. Funny, I was just looking at this. So for those who can see this on the screen, I'm not sure if y'all can see it. It's really small. But when they mention the word capital on here or common stock, when they say common stock, they're talking about persons whose signature they have. And the number of shares, and that's why they call them shares, because it's not just one person claiming them, it's several people claiming them. So don't be mistaken about that word, shares. But yeah, this is really small, so I won't go too far into it. Oops. Let me see. I did want to, I think, save a copy of that. So, Moors, this is the thing about, for example, the Al-Moroccan American Exchange. The Al-Moroccan American Exchange that we have, in the future, we're going to be talking about other things going on with the Al-Moroccan American Exchange that need your approval, because we don't move without your approval. The individual companies can do whatever they want to do in terms of commerce and all that. For example, the Puget Sound Agricultural Company. If you look in the public laws, you will see the Hudson Bay Company and the Puget Sound Agricultural Company mentioned specifically. The corporate one, not the dead one, not us, but the dead one was mentioned in the public laws, and until we rewrote them and made it living. The Puget Sound Agricultural Company is the company that does the sea salt, the seaweed, and everything that comes from the sea here. Puget Sound is a body of water. And so that company can do whatever it's doing with regard to capital. For example, with capital, with the Puget Sound company, I can use my own capital. I am using my own Pauline Denise Ritchie in all capital letters is capital. That's a certain amount of capital. It's whatever I say it is. And then that capital allotment or apportionment is also apportioned as shares between anyone else who purchases anything from us or who works with us or anything like that. Then the shares become shareable, you know. And so we're looking at all of that in terms of our own money and the fiduciary money and then getting rid of the fiat. We got to get rid of the fiat, though. So with regard to the Securities and Exchange Commission, with the resignation letters, let me just tell you what we're doing across the board. All we're doing is saying we are the standing government. We're the national government, and we govern ourselves with regard to all of these resources because, see, while the corporates were doing their whole theatrical stock market and all of that theatrics that they were doing, it was assumed by some that the national government just didn't exist. But we did. We've always been here. And there's not a national government and a corporate government. No, there's only one government. It's us. We're the national government. And then there are corporations on our land that are subject to us that do as we command. And those corporations are living corpus sanctums and not dead corpses because we got rid of all the dead corpses. So I will say this, Morris. Right now, we are positioned and already activated in a way that is unstoppable, and the whole earth knows that we are just, if you could only see that we are the wealthiest to ever exist. Where we're positioned right now, right this moment, everyone is looking at us like, wow, they did it. They did it. The Moors finally did it, you know. So the only thing that is keeping some of our the Moors matrix from showing them what we see is a good sound understanding of that piece about the persons that we just talked about. Once Moors get that no one else can address their person, that they're the only ones who can speak with regard to their all caps, then fearlessness ensues, and you're not afraid of anything or anyone because they cannot talk about your person. One thing that policy enforcers used to do back in the day is they would, like if you're going somewhere, they would say, "Hey, Pauline," like that. And it's like, and your first inclination is to turn because you think someone knows who you are, but they're not even talking to you. They want you to own the name that they said. But because it came from them and not you, that's not you. So remember back in the day in the 70s, whenever they showed prison movies, either at the movies or on television, they would always have a bunch of us talking about, yo, man, that wasn't me. They ain't talking about me. That's not me. That was a hint. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. That was a hint. They were trying to say, you're in there, but that's not you. They got the wrong one. We used to, in those movies, they used to talk about wrong identity. That wasn't me. Wrong one. That was somebody else. That's the truth. It was their dead corpse, not you. And that one precept right there, once the Moors get that, and we got it, you know, there's a remnant that has it, but I think there's way more that have it than we are being supposedly shown by fake numbers. There's a lot more that have it because the pulling down of strongholds is already a wrap. That's how I know more people hear us when we speak. That's it, Justice Consul. He said, Shaggy said it wasn't me. That's the song right there. That's the truth. And when we get that in our spirit, as in, you know, all Moors get that in their spirit, woo, you're talking about something powerful. Because no one can speak about you or to you or for you. People can say, Light said this and Light said that, but if I don't say, yep, I said that, then in a real court, that's just hearsay. And they can be like, but I heard her say it. But only when I say, yes, I said that. And that's why we put everything on the public record, so we can say, yeah, I said that. But you know what? At the public record is not even us. If we the sovereign say, okay, that's a tape and it was messed with, that's not me. We're very powerful. And that's why honor is so important. That's why honor is so important for us, because no one can pin us down anywhere. No one can, because they're not talking about us unless we say they are. And we don't say that about anybody. We don't accept anyone's person to be us. We are us. And our person is our person. So, you know, we're very powerful. We're very powerful. And we have to know that we're very powerful. I mean, we are already out the gate, Moors. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Islam
nobility.
I was wanting to say also, my city website is in all red, all their emails, all the phone numbers. It even say welcome to, and it's in them welcome and to is in white, and the city name or title is in red. And then
that means somebody put some documents on the public record and claimed it properly, put a constitution out there.
Indeed. And at the city hall,
did you put a constitution on the record, nobility?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Well,
did you put red documents on the record? Yeah, that's what I mean. Did you put red documents on the public record?
Stop. Oh, I done sent them plenty of stuff. This is Maurice Lord's stuff, by the way. And
Islam.
And the city.
Hold on, Justice Maurice. Is there's some noise coming from somewhere? Someone will probably need to mute. Go ahead, Justice.
And the city flag is like half-staffed also.
Yeah. So if you put red documents on the public record and you say you have and you put the Constitution, that explains it. Yeah. These people know who we are, and when we're competent, they will do exactly as commanded. Now, I will say this about Alabama territory as well. I told you that I was planning a trip, so I sent some things there myself recently, too. So what you sent and what you've been demonstrating and the other Moors in that territory have been demonstrating, listen, I'm surprised they haven't painted the streets red, because remember, in our liens and stuff, and you'll start seeing this really soon too, and it has everything to do with us. You're going to see Moorish flags everywhere. They're going to be everywhere. And you're going to see turbans and fezzes everywhere.
Hey, we got a system called Computer Delta System. It shows the parcels like for the land. And over my county, it has it all bordered in red. It's got like a graph on it. And it's all the outline. No, let me see. I ain't looked at it. Well, I think the outline is green and it got graphs on it that's red. It's red and green.
Yes, Islam. We've seen where whole skies have turned red, and all of that when Moors demonstrate. It's amazing. Our ancestors know what they're doing. All we have to do is continue doing what we're doing right now, which is talking to each other and meeting and governing and putting documents out there and demonstrating. That's the wrap right there. So anything that we have claimed, Moors, think about this. How much longer do you think it's going to be on domiciles and conveyances and all of that? That's actually now. We're staying together on that. Who can tell us no? On the earth, who can tell us no? On this earth. Who? Nobody. No one. Justice Consul, I think about you quite a bit, you and the Moors there at UK territory and Empress Shasha and at Jamaica territory and Empress Frederica at Guyana territory, French Guiana territory, Justice Varnia at South America territory. Justice David L. at Osaka, Japan territory. Just over there, just wrecking shop, okay? Anything corporate done jumped out of his way because he's so active over there. The Moors at Indonesia. I want to send a shout out to our Indonesian Moors who are just running things over there. Know exactly who they are. China territory.
Australia, don't forget.
Yes, Australia. Our Moors there at Australia territory. At all the territories, Mariana Islands, all of the islands. Thailand Moors. Yes, Islam. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. There's no place that we are not. I don't know. Justice Raymond asked about Grand Rapids territory, Grand Rapids, Michigan territory. Islam. So I haven't heard of any, but if you have, feel free to *6 so that if you're at Grand Rapids territory. Islam, Justice Constance.
Just want to say we honor you and all the Moors on the chat. I'm speaking for all the Moors over here who is listening to you, Taj, Dr. G, everybody else putting out Moorish literature. And we honor you big time.
Yes. We are so one.
Yep. Absolutely. Gracias.
Justice Consul, I got goosebumps. I can't wait to get there. I cannot wait to get there and just hug all of your necks It's going to be great.
We'll wait.
So, yeah. Yes, Islam, let's do it.
Islam.
Empress Shasha, same thing. I'm coming there to Jamaica territory. Absolutely. Empress Frederica, I'm coming to French Guiana. Because France ain't got nothing on them. Wow. Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing all of our estate and for all the Moors to come and see this part of their estate too. So I'm excited for us. I'm excited for us. I'm looking forward to all that the ancestors have for us. We just have to be brave and go ahead and demonstrate whether we're scared or not. Because no one says you don't have to be scared, but you do have to still demonstrate who you are. And one thing I know about the demonstrations is that the more we do them, the more I'm seeing that they know, and they're like, okay, we were just testing you. We already know y'all know who you are. We know who you are, so we were just testing you. I mean, it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point. And I'm glad it's there already because we said y'all can stop acting. You can stop. We're here. It's a wrap. You know. We are taking all of the, all positions, all custodians, you're done. Thank you, you're done. We got it. So, are there any other comments, questions, wisdom, etc.? Justice Kansu put a question in the chat. The sea moss that Dr. Sebi talks about, is it the same as seaweed that you were talking about? We don't put any. We are not putting things in pill form in as much as we can. We're leaving it in its natural form, as close to its natural form as possible. For example, the seaweed. I wish I could show you my lab work with the seaweed. And when I say lab work, I just get some and put it here and test it and see how long it stays fresh in this position or in this place. Or does it need to be refrigerated or what? With the seaweed, I put it in one of these. This is just a gallon of water, and put the seawater in there and then filled it up with seaweed, and it can stay fresh for years probably, just because it's in water like that. It can stay fresh for a long time. I know for sure at least a month. And then the others, the foods and things. Oh, I saw, and speaking of which, you all do know that everything that we saw previously, all the animals, all the birds, all the sea creatures, and all the stuff that we saw previously was genetically modified by the foreigners. They put all of their stuff out there and made it as close to what we originally created as possible. And I saw a sign. I went to go get the seaweed the other day, and I saw a sign there that said, if you see, and again, let me preface this by we love everybody, because we do. But they have big signs up there that says, if you see a European crab, kill it and call immediately whatever, the wildlife or whatever, whoever. And they've had photos of the European crab. And I'm like, okay, so that must be one that they created and it has to go. You've heard of people, of quote unquote farmers, slaughtering all of the animals, all the pigs and stuff that they had. And there have been hybrids who have been, complaining about that, saying there's not going to be any meat. There's not going to be any meat. Well, all of that stuff was modified by them. That was done by them. It won't, and that's So we're just, that's why I said we don't have to worry about anything but our nation and growing our nation and connecting with one another and continuing to govern and continuing to demonstrate our status. That's what our focus should be. It should not really be hybrid, foreign hybrids or even the subjects, because the subjects know what to do already. So our focus is building our nation, getting our merchant and commercial actions going, and making sure that we know that that we speak for our person and no one else does. That one thing right there will stop anyone who's ever gone to done a POW demonstration. You never have to do another POW demonstration when you know that, unless you choose to do a POW demonstration. Islam,
I stopped eating meat, and I have kept my weight down, no problem. Sometimes, when I first backed up off the meat, I was really strict about it. And then I added a little chips and soda as a treat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kept adding more chips and sodas. But I'm eating my fruit and vegetables too.
Mm-hmm.
But the weight did not come back.
Yeah.
And I was having all kind of digestive problems where, 1 minute it takes days for me to go. I was all over the place. And it was the meat.
Yeah.
But not only the meat, I know the fruits, and I know everything that we're eating is modified.
Yeah.
You could just tell, your body tells you.
Yeah.
That there is an issue, because we are naturally supposed to consume things to sustain ourselves. So why is it having an adverse effect on us? And we're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the food. So, but I know that the fruits and vegetables, I know that stuff is modified. I know, but the meat was the biggest thing for me. It really was a game changer. Everything else. Sometimes I'll have organic meat, or sometimes I'll have organic fruits and vegetables, just to try and get as close as I can. But that stuff is modified, and it's a challenge. Mm-hmm. Just to, try and be optimal. So yeah, that's my experience. I wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Empress. So for us right now, while we're moving to production, fasting is going to be that's going to be the healthiest thing we can do, is fast. Okay.
You're right.
Because there are many of us who still do eat meat. Like, I went 2 years without eating meat. But every now and then I will eat some meat, and I don't feel bad about it either, because I know where I'm going and I know what I'm doing in terms of the health benefits of fasting. So we just suggest, and we do it too, is if we eat something, we cleanse afterwards. Cleanse could be, for me now, and let me make this suggestion, Morris. If you take 2 tablespoons of sea salt, you will be in the bathroom cleaning and cleansing and clearing very shortly thereafter. 2 tablespoons, that's kind of a heaping a lot. But if you take 2 tablespoons of sea salt, it will clear. And when I say clear, I mean clear. It will clean everything out. And that is actually in preparation for what's coming soon, again, for us, is the ability to clear all acidic and toxic things out of our bodies within a few minutes. That's on the way, but it's not here yet for most of us. But the fasting is one way to get your metabolism moving a little bit quicker in terms of that. Food and things, the food that, because we're all we're doing is preparing to have the natural things enter our system. Because you can't just go from Because even the stuff they call organic is not organic unless it's produced by us. It's organic for them. And when I say them, I mean they are more acidic in terms of their makeup. You know, the foreigners who came here. They're more acidic. We're more alkaline. You know. So all we're doing right now is moving higher into our godness, and our godness actually is part and parcel of the bodies that we have now. When these bodies are treated the right way, they are machines that cannot be stopped, and there's nothing we cannot do. These very bodies are wow. And when I say wow, I mean wow.
Islam. We hear a lot of talks about med beds. Is that true or not? That med beds are supposed to be coming. I'm sorry?
It's true for the ones who say it. It's true for the ones who say a med bed helped me. Okay, that's true for them. Because each one of us is different. So what may be good for them may not work for someone else. And with the sovereigns, that's always going to be the case. The sovereign decides what works for them and what doesn't. You know. So when I hear people talk about any of that stuff, it may be okay for them. That if that's what they need, hey, you're sovereign. Do you?
Is it safe?
I don't have one. I don't use them, and so I can't answer that for you. Only you know if it's safe for you, because you'll do your own research, and you know what you know. You know, no one else knows you. They were not with you 24/7 except the ancestral energies, but you know you, and so you will know once you do your research whether it will help you or not. For me, I am of all I do is look at what does it do. And when I see what it does, if that's something that fasting does for me, then I don't need that instrument, whatever that instrument is. You know, whether it be a med bed or anything else. If I can do it if I know that fasting will make my back better, and fasting and drinking water and eating sea salt will make my back better, then I don't need that. And I'll say this about things like that, Empress. All of that is pointing everyone back to healing, and it will assist you for as long as it will. And then after a while, it'll be time to learn and remember how to do that naturally without the aid of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
They got a lot of false advertisement in the Albion. That's all you hear about the med.
Because for them, see, we can't even. They're not talking to us. They didn't, anything that they invented, they didn't really make that for us. So they're not talking to us. That's not, they're talking about their persons. Now, if Moors, and this is a governing situation where if Moors want to participate in that, they can, because that stuff is a resource on our land when we state that it is, when we state that properly. Mm-hmm. And there are some Moors who feel in their minds that they need that. Okay, if they feel in their minds that they need that, who are we?
Islam.
Speaking of they're not talking to us, I remember watching TV and they would say, you need sunscreen, you need tanning lotion, you need
tan stockings. And you know what? At some point, I caught on that they are not marketing to us. They are not talking to us. What they are talking to themselves. And everything that they make is for them. I mean, I've been trying hair products and their shampoo and stuff like that, and then people are starting to come out with stuff for us because they aren't talking to us at all about nothing. Unless they want to market to us for their own interior motive. But other than that, and it took me a minute to figure out, because somebody tried to tell me I need sunscreen. I'm like, come on now. Come on now. You know, but it was just the assumption that I bought into everything that they said. And I was like, I don't need that. You know, why would you even tell me I need that? I don't need that. So, but yeah, they're not talking to us.
No, they're not talking to us. They never were. They never were. Their quote unquote courts were never talking to us. Policy enforcers still ain't talking to us. They're not talking to us. That's not our business. That's not our business. That's their business. We just need to make sure our business is straight. And let me just say this about that, Empress. I'm glad you brought that up. Remember, because see, people was in an uproar when they heard this. Remember when Chanel, the designer Chanel, and then there was someone else, I think, a couple of designers, quote unquote, who said, we don't make these for black people. We don't make these for people with big butts. We don't make our jeans and our clothes and our stuff for people with big butts.
Probably Hilfiger or something like that.
Yeah, well, why were we mad about that? They weren't talking to us. They weren't sewing for us. Why would they sew for us when we could sew for ourselves?
Yep, never.
But people are all mad about that, and mad because they said black people. Really? Like, we were just...
They would turn around and say, I'm black and I'm proud.
Because they had to tell the truth. So it's, you know, I'm just glad we can see and we're awake. And I'll say this too, Morris. Anytime you see brown-skinned people getting upset about things, it's because of something they don't realize. Because everything that's being said out there it's actually true stuff when you know who the blacks are. Know that you're not black. And then know who the real blacks don't have a nationality. And until they get in alignment with the law, then they're black. And when they get in alignment with the law, they're subjects. That's just the way it is. Because that's how we designed this. Because you're gonna have in the biblioheliotext says that the poor will always be with us. The poor. That means poor in consciousness and thought. Because they don't know who they are. And will not read. And you try to tell them, and they get religious on you or something. You know. So we got this. I'm glad we're awake. That's about all I'm going to say about that. I'm not even going to go back into that other energy. I'm glad we're awake.
Islam. My brother Shakai had put me onto this show on Netflix. It's called Justice Served. I recommend, the fellow Moors watch that in their leisure if they have the time to do so. But it's a very, very good illustration of how our people are, first of all over this creation, and second of all, how they are in tune with their ancestors and are doing work, and how they know that they are Moors. And for those who will watch it in the future or has already watched it, I will say this: Numore, Islam.
Islam indeed, Numore. And that's in you, More.
Islam, because that's exactly what they chant in that show, Numore.
And that's just them announcing that we're awake. That's all.
Islam. It came out this year too. That whole season or show. It's only 6 episodes for the first season in that part, and so it's an amazing show. It shows a lot about how honor. You mentioned honor before, and how one of the brothers betrayed the honor of the nation and the elders. It talks about a lot. It talks about a lot, and Numore. Yes, Justice Served is the name of the show.
Islam. I don't have Netflix, but I can just about guess. Islam, Empress.
If I can ask this question, we know we are home. They are 3,000 miles away from home. At any point in time, will they eventually go back home?
They're already back home for those Moors who know who they are and who know that without a doubt and have demonstrated who they are. There are no, and that's why I say what I say. There are only subjects and Moors.
Okay. So the corrupt ones are gone that cause all the big trouble.
The corrupt ones are gone when you know who you are, and you're able to put them in subject status, and you know that you've put them in subject status. They will begin to behave in subject status, and then that means that they're back where they are supposed to be.
Okay.
Now, I'll say this about that, Empress, because this is important in terms of where each Moor is. Each Moor is at a different place on the timeline of what they see manifesting in this matrix. Some Moors can see where it's very, like we are supposed to have our own everything. Some Moors can see that, and they already know that the reason we do that is because the foreigners are not relevant in terms of our economic power and authority. Others don't see that yet because of where they are. So a lot of times when Moors are saying, when are they going back? When are they going back? They're going back as soon as you say they're gone. But that's something that man knows not by being told. We actually have to demonstrate that they are where they're supposed to be. That all the foreign ones are gone, and that the only ones that are here are subjects. From our perspective, the only ones that are here are serving. They're already serving.
So when do they get out of all our big fancy homes and everything that they have?
They're already gone out of most of them. They're already gone out of most of them, and now it's up to the Moors to claim them properly. They're already gone. Listen, they don't have a problem leaving the stuff because it's not theirs. They don't have a problem leaving it. Most of them are already gone. A lot of those ones that you saw on television in the 90s and the 2000s, you don't even see them anymore. They're so far gone. Think about some of those big wigs, what we thought were big wigs economically from back in the day. You don't hear from them no more. They're, because they're not there. So all we have to do is properly proclaim and claim and know that it's our person that determines who's in the property. It's just a matter of us. Knowledge is the power that manifests the domiciles and the conveyances. And then, Empress, we had to unify and come together and put an economic system in place that properly speaks to big domiciles and conveyances. Because what good is a big domicile if you do not know that a light bill and a gas bill are not supposed to be coming there like that from a foreign corporation? What good is a big domicile if you don't know that? So it's just a matter of us getting our precepts and concepts forth. competently, continually.
What would you recommend to people in different times? I'm a newbie. I like a lot of people, born and raised in a Christian church. I've been out of the Christian church for 14 years now, and then I went 10 years into the Hebrew Israelites. And then around the election time of 2020 is when I discovered the Moors, who I am. So since then, every day I'm researching and I'm trying to learn everything there is to learn. And some of it is catching on and pretty easy, and then there's some that I'm still kind of stuck. I'm learning about meditating, the fasting, raising the vibrations, the singing bowls, all of that. But what is, like you said, we're all on different timelines. And friends of mine that we are all the same, who was like, is there a program for us newbies where we can kind of get caught up and understand if we're doing the right things?
Yes, let me tell you what the program is. The program for all new Moors is this. First ask yourself, what is it in your life that you need to fix, and remedy, that is most important to you? Then you take that one thing at a time, just as Raymond says, he said everything. Okay, so you pick the one that's most important to you, and you do the study and the research to demonstrate the result that you want to see with that issue. For some, it's bills, it's debt. For others, like for me, my first question and the thing I wanted to get the answer to the quickest and the most is, how do we get past fake policy enforcers and fake judges? That was I was like, I told the ancestors, whatever it takes, I'll do it. That was my focus. And to Empress, I want a new conveyance, and yes, I want a new domicile, but those were not the main things, because I knew, and this is something that all Moors need to get this in your spirit. Just, we can't tell you what to do, but we can suggest that you focus on this. Seek ye first the estate and the empire, and all of those things will come with it. All of those things, domiciles on top of domiciles, on top of domiciles, on top of conveyances, and you'll have more of those than you can even know what to do with. When you seek first the empire, what is the empire? The empire is your freedom. So that when you get those things, because here's the thing, if you get a big domicile and a conveyance and a policy enforcer pull you over or knock on the door and take you to jail, or they repossess, then what do you have? Nothing. Because you don't have the information that you need to stop that from happening. Seek that information first on how to save yourself. When you save yourself, the estate is automatically saved. I'm living proof of that, because if you had told me in 2017 that I was going to be doing the things that we're doing up until this moment, I would have called you a liar. Burn some fiat. What? Me? Go to jail and demonstrate court actions and tell them what to do. What? Put all of the things that we've put on the public record, including using the word decapitation, talking about corpses. You could not have told me in 2017 that all of that was going to be going on, and me just as comfortable as I can be in doing those demonstrations. Because my greatest fear, Empress, was policy enforcers and fake judges. Because I thought there's no way we can get around them. That's what I thought even in my sleep. I was thinking, these people got this thing locked up. There's no way around it. And the ancestor said, "Oh, let me wake her up. Let me wake her up, so she will know." Empress, all of the things that you want are there. They're actually already empty. The domiciles are empty. The conveyances are waiting. You can just look at the news. Oh, they put a different language on it. They say auto sales are slow. No, that stuff is sitting there waiting on the Moors, and it ain't moving until we show up.
So what's the deal with the houses being so expensive?
Because it don't even matter when you can print your own money. But they're meant to be expensive right now if you think that system that attached the price is actually talking about the house. Because, see, the same thing we say about persons, we say about property. We say how much a domicile is, not them. But it's a matrix, and different people are at different places in the matrix. Our job is that as we free ourselves from that other matrix, that we don't just go on ahead and get our big domicile and be cool and print all our fiduciary money and don't tell anybody else. Our job is to assist
someone else.
Yes, assist each other. Because in assisting each other, we're all getting help.
Is that the first step is getting nationalized and acknowledging that you are Moorish American?
Yes.
Now, I'm a grandmother, but I have custody of two of my granddaughters whose mother was in a fatal car accident 2 years ago. So when I do mine, I also do theirs as well?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And then they have a trust because they had a wrongful death suit. And I'm still at the very end of the settlement is done, the trust is set up. So, when I do all that, how do I go about with their trust?
So, Empress, with things like that, all you have to do, you don't have to change a thing that's been done thus far. All you do is reprint and recreate everything on Moorish government letterhead. You keep the old documents, but you create new ones that say the exact same words and everything. And you just do it as a court action. The court action language is the language that we say at the beginning of each of the calls. It's that one paragraph at the top. And you're the judge. And everything, all you're doing is putting your word on the public record that this is the will, this is my will for whatever this issue is. This is my will, and I'm speaking by court action that this is my will. And you just recreate each and every document word for word, and then change anything you want to change if you decide you want to change it, and then you put it on the public record. So you don't have to change anything, you don't have to lose anything, you don't have to move anything. You just have to, what you're doing is nationalizing all resources and telling all foreign corpses that they don't have any jurisdiction over you or the heirs. Yep.
Thank you.
Islam, it's all you're doing is making the persons, the all caps named persons that they use to do commerce with, you're saying these persons belong to me. That's it. And then whatever is going on, you just, if they send something and you agree with that something, then you just put it in affidavit form and send it back to them. Autographed in blue or red, whichever you choose.
Islam. Sister,
just one moment. This is the year and the time of the word, okay? And whoever it is that's speaking, if others agree that, okay, if I agree that they're able to speak about me, then that mutes me. And then they get to say whatever they want to say, and their job is to enslave. Even in the nicest piece of paper they can send, it's designed to enslave. So we have to speak. And if it's something you agree with, then you put it in affidavit form and send it back. If it's something you don't agree with, then you put it in affidavit form and send it back with the proper commands from your court. That way you never end up in their fake courts and them saying all types of craziness and taking things that don't belong to them. With that being said, Empress, that's the key to everything that has to do with us, is whose person is it, who created that person, whichever court creates the person is the court that gets to speak about the person. Islam. Go ahead, Empress. Sorry.
Oh, Islam. I was just going to state, to don't forget to do the protected person document. And there's a template out there about the trust, the prophet's trust. You can create that for your heirs as well, so they can have, an extension of the prophet's trust, and then put, I think there's a trust number that you can create, and just add that into the affidavit that you retype over for the original trust that they have from the estate from their mother. Just take the information and incorporate it into the new trust that the prophet gave us. And dial your I's and cross all your T's. And just like Empress keeps saying, notify, and just speak, and keep speaking. That's it. You'll be covered.
Yes, I agree with what the Empress said. Or to simplify, all you really need is a document where trusts are concerned. Now, this is where trusts are concerned. You need one document one affidavit on Moorish government letterhead that says, I proclaim that I do have a trust, and our trust is in ourselves and our state and our government. And you are your state and your government. That's a one-page, 2 or 3 sentence document. It's 2 or 3.
They do have me titled as the fiduciary of the trust for the girls.
Yes. Who did the document in terms of fiduciary?
It's here, and courts here in Ohio where I live.
Beautiful. That means they're in alignment with what's been said by the Moors.
Like I said, we're done with the settlement. We're done with actually, she just called me Friday and told me I should now be hearing from my attorney within the next 10 days for me to come and sign everything, because the attorneys and everybody had to get paid as well.
So they're telling you up front that they're snipping pieces off, attorneys are snipping pieces, etc. So my suggestion is the same as I just said. Any paperwork or documents, I would have them to go ahead, because see, they bank on you showing up and just signing, and they'll have 30 stacks of documents for you to sign. I suggest, and this is my suggestion, that you have them to send you the documentation that they're going to be having people sign. Have them send it to you right now, because they got it. And then what you do is you put it in affidavit form and take both back, hand them their copies, and then you've already autographed your affidavits, and you have them, they can speak for their person, you're speaking for your persons.
Even though I'm not nationalized yet?
You are, if you say you are. Are you nationalized? Are you a Moor?
Yes, I am.
Boom, done.
Okay.
The word of a sovereign cannot be argued. It can't be debated. About who you are, it can't be debated.
So would they ask me for the card though, to show my proof, or?
They may, but they're not really. They don't have the authority to. If you allow them to do that, they will. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you want to show them, you can make your own card.
Okay.
Write in Word the same way you take a little passport size photo and you put it on the card. And I put my card out on the public record so Moors can see how to make their cards and what the cards look like. I can put my card up here on the screen just so that you can screenshot it and then make your card. Because, again, no one even has the authority to issue anything to you unless you say you can issue that.
Okay.
Can she do some kind of affidavit to affirm she is who she is and put her thumbprint on it or something? Because not everything has to be picture identification. You can, right? Do some kind of affidavit in regards to that.
Yeah, however she chooses.
Yeah. And what if they play around and don't send her the documents in time for her to read it? How would she handle it?
Then she would do it the way Bill Gates would do it.
They are just really, everybody else involved, they are, because it's been almost 2.5 years going on now, so nobody's gotten paid, and the probate attorney told me Friday when she called that no one can get paid until I actually sign.
Okay,
because
great.
they know you're sovereign, Empress. I'm just telling you, they know you're sovereign, and they know that you know what's going on in terms of you at least know that you're Moorish. Mm-hmm. And this is how it has worked the whole time, Moors. Nobody can move until we sign or say so. That's the point of all of this. Mm-hmm. That's the point that we're trying to ensure that Moors know is no one gets paid, no one moves until we say so. And so Empress, if it's that important for them, they'll make sure you get the documents early, because you don't want to show up there and sign a bunch of things and you walk out and they say the check is in the mail, and then all of a sudden everybody else is paid and you're not. You see what I'm saying? And then, what they're paying with. Because, see, the fact that nobody gets paid until you sign has everything to do with the fact that they don't have anything to give you. I just want to put that on the public record. They're getting all of their payments and benefits straight from the creditor, which is you.
Right.
So let me see if you can see my ID card. If you want to go ahead and make an ID card and then just get an ID card holder, you can get an ID card holder from, Walmart or someplace, or if you want to go and laminate it or whatever you can. You don't have to do any of that because they would just be getting a copy anyway.
Okay.
So I know when I first nationalized, I didn't have time to wait for anybody to mail me anything. So I went ahead and made my own card and and used it too.
Okay.
So Empress, you're sovereign. Just know that. And what you're dealing with right now is just one moment. What you're dealing with right now in terms of that is how this works anyway, is that no one can move or do anything without our permission. Let me see if I can get this ID card to show on the screen. It's not showing, even though I have it up there. Nope, it's not showing. Okay. There it is.
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And, again, no one can move. And see, these days they're actually saying we can't do anything until we get some consent and assent from the Moors. So, Empress, it is our suggestion that you not let anyone pressure you into signing anything that you have not read through. And then, I would suggest putting it on, even if you have to copy and paste it onto an affidavit, that means you're governing the words. So they can't do loophole things. Even if you just take a copy of what they hand you and put Moorish government letterhead at the top, then autograph it. And that's why I would get it early. Okay. Because there is protection for you, because you protect yourself, and your government, which is you, is right there. These people already know who you are. They know who the heirs are, and they know that nobody eats without us. I'm surprised they're saying it, but yeah. And we don't care how, I don't care how long they wait and all of that. You're going to send me what? I'm governing the exchange. You're going to send me whatever it is that I need to have sent so that I can look at it beforehand. But any wise sovereign would look at things beforehand. They
have done that throughout all, because with here in Ohio, our courts are still not open, so everything's been Zoom, and then they mail me out all the paperwork, and I have my copies, and then I sign, and they have their copies. So they have been doing that.
Well, why the courts are still closed is because the real courts are open.
Mm-hmm.
We're the real courts. We're the real courts. So, just some things to consider, Empress, because we get that people may have waited and all of that, but that never stopped them from usurping. Right. People can be shot down in the street and all of that, and they would still usurp. So, we get it. They're doing better now because, Moors are waking up. The subjects are doing better. But yeah. So
Islam.
And we feel you, Empress. You've been very strong, clearly, through whatever you went through. With your heir being taken. So we send our strength and love as you continue with, all that has to do with you and your vast estate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for your energy.
I appreciate all of you guys' energy. I really do. Our steps are ordered, and I truly am grateful that my steps been ordered to find you all.
Yes, indeed. Preordained before we even got here. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that too, Empress.
Thank you again.
It's good to find out more about, the ones we see on social media and things like that. We get to find out more about each other in these, when we meet like this. So, it's Empress Angel, you were going to say something.
Yes, Islam. That the custodian, formerly known as CEO of the corporation, has accepted his resignation. He publicly had a conference after his house arrest, and he had stated, that, well, he gave the speech, but he had a commentator break down the speech, and the commentator was saying how at this point in time he laid down the sword and the shield and all the things of the corporation and gave it to the United Nations. And I was like, Islam, checkmate.
Yeah.
So everything that we all as a collective body have been working on has the energy, has been received, and he gave his resignation.
Yeah.
Oh, but it wasn't without noting that it was one of the clones that had did it, because we all know these clones is walking around. It ain't them no more. And they've been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, when they talk about the sword and the shield, the sword is the word. The sword is the word, Morris, and that's why I say it's our words that matter. That we don't accept documents and paper from other people without we look at it. We're not accepting it. We just look at it and then we say, okay, let's put these parts of it. We can cherry pick from it, or we can put the whole thing on an affidavit. That is where our results come from, and our governing, the acumen that we have as we govern. The sharpness of our governing comes from our words. The power of life and death is in our tongue, and it's our life first that we speak, and then we speak life and death as necessary, and death being commercial death, and in some cases, however the ancestors choose. We're that powerful. The whole earth has waited for this moment. And we didn't know that, or we didn't remember that, but we know now. Our words are everything. We must use them no matter what, our words. So, and that's what we're doing. And yes, you know, we're seeing those ones doing that were the custodians that were previously doing business as CEOs. We're seeing them outgoing this and outgoing that, and this one is left and this one has resigned, and la 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 la. We talked about that two or 3 years ago. And then the ancestor said, okay, you all said that 2 or 3 years ago. Now you must bring it to pass. And so that's what we're doing, bringing all that we have stated previously to pass in the favor of our state and our nation and our government. So, Morris, I'm so excited for us. I know it's work, but not really, because they say if you do what you love, you never work another day. I'm there. I'm at that point where I can't wait to get up. And sometimes it's in the middle of the night, not just the morning, you know. So, with that being said, are there any other questions or comments or wisdom or any other further discussion for this great, grand body, this grand congressional assembly of sovereigns? You know, it only takes one sovereign to rule the whole earth, and look how many we have. Plenty of us. This number here says 36. That's more than enough for 36 million galaxies to be ruled. So,
Grand Rising.
Yes, Islam, Grand Rising. With that being said, peace and Grand Rising to the heirs. Islam.
Grand Rising. Islam. Islam.
Islam.
Grand Rising.
Islam.
Islam. Islam. Islam.